Hello, my name is Steve Gerhardt, and welcome to the Inagi Observer. Thank you very much for stopping by today. Today we're going to do a music review of a CD that I had just purchased. It's been a long time in the coming, and it is a Yoko Kanno album. It's actually her second studio album. It is, the Japanese is, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, 23G no Ongaku. Or also translated as, I believe it says right here, Music of the 23rd Hour. If you like Yoko Kanno, you know who she is. She is a prolific songwriter for anime and music in general in Japan, but she's really well known for her anime stuff here in the United States. And this particular album, 23G no Ongaku, is she paired up with another mainstay of anime from the late 90s through the 2000s, and that is Meiya Sakamoto, who has done numerous voiceovers, voice acting. She's actually been on stage. She's actually a really good voice actress and stage actress. So the pair of them, they often do a lot together, the Escaflowne and a whole bunch of different stuff. You read their list and they're just like, they keep crossing paths in terms of creative projects. So this one studio album is actually a soundtrack, and the soundtrack, the music of the 23rd Hour is actually a sort of a different name of the radio play that NHK, that's the Japanese broadcast company, put on radio. They did a radio play off of Sidney Sheldon's The Other Side of Midnight. The Other Side of Midnight was written in 1973. A movie was done in 1977. And the Japanese Broadcast Corporation, or NHK as it's more popularly known, did a radio play of it in 2002. And because Yoko Kanno at that time was pretty much really up and coming, versatile, and she was really well known, they needed a soundtrack to the radio plays. So she got together with Meiya Sakamoto, and they made this album, 23G no Ongaku. And just to show you a little bit of the album art. And that's actually kind of what got me interested when I was on YouTube looking up different Yoko Kanno stuff. At that time, I had been listening to a lot of the Cowboy Bebop stuff, which is I still love, but after a while it gets repetitive, and I know that she does other things, particularly like the Ghost in the Shell kind of stuff. So as I was looking on YouTube, I saw this album cover, and I was very, very intrigued by it. And so I wanted to give it a try, one particular song, a try, and I listened to it, and it was a piano exposition, and it was simply amazing. Now, because I didn't know anything about the album, I didn't realize it was a soundtrack off of a book that I had actually read, off of a movie, that really bad movie. Yeah, the 1977 version is not that good. So when I heard the rest of the album, I was kind of in surprise. Just to give you an idea of why Sidney Sheldon's book, and even though it was a bestseller and the movie did decently, he wrote romantic thriller fiction. That's kind of what he did. And before he became a best-selling author, he wrote sitcoms, and he was the lead writer for I Dream of Jeannie. So here I thought there was this really nice piano exposition that sounds similar to Cowboy Bebop's OST1, and in certain ways, but it still seemed different. And then when I listened to the other songs, I was just like, whoa, this is really not what I thought it was. And at first I was a little bit turned off, because I'm not the hugest, in terms of her singing, Meiya Sakamoto fan. But when you listen to this album, her English is very clear. I mean, it's almost crystal, like as if there's a lot of complaints that she doesn't know English that well. You wouldn't know that from listening to this album. It's actually pretty clear. And some of the songs, once I realized that it was a soundtrack and each song had a part in the story, it actually became better. So one of the first songs that I want to play here is one that's probably one of the more popular songs off this album. It's called "Kissing the Christmas Killer." I know, It's a great title for a song, isn't it? Kissing the Christmas Killer. Anyway, so let me just play, 20, 30 seconds of this song. And here you go. Okay, so a lot different, right? Um, but you can still kind of hear notes of Escalon and a bunch of other earlier anime that Yoko Kanno did. And it's very quiet, it's very smooth, it's very, um, I don't want to say dramatic, but it's kind of got a tragic sound to it almost. And like I said, there was a song on there that really hooked me into it, and it was called Kuramono Nafu no Shi, or Death of the Fruit Knife. I know, again, an interesting title. That's the piano exposition that I really liked. And I think it's probably one of Yoko Kanno's best songs, probably in the top 3 in my personal record. The overall album is a lot different. When you listen to it, and like I said, you're gonna hear hints of things previously. This came out in May of 2002. What else came out in 2002? Well, when you listen to this, you're going to be like, wow, this kind of sounds like some of these songs, not all of them, but a couple of them, sound like they could totally go on Ghost in the Shell, right? The Ghost in the Shell anime soundtrack. Well, what came out in 2002? Well, the Ghost in the Shell anime, I believe, season 1. So there's a lot of similarities between the Ghost in the Shell, more similarities between Ghost in the Shell and this album than it would have been for Cowboy Bebop. Like I said, this is a very much it's not smaller, smoother album. This is more peaceful. It's very tonal. It's almost ambient because it's telling the story, this romantic fiction of a woman who's playing a bunch of men off of each other is basically what it is. If you wanted to, you could almost remake the story into like a Lupin III story starring Fujiko. But the music is very, very flowing. It's very smooth. It's very easy. It's something that you sit back and you're reflective of. It's not very. There's only a couple songs on there that are very lively, and it's just different. It's just different. So if you're a Yoko Kanno fan and you don't know this album, that's not surprising. That's the other part of this, is because it's a radio play. So there's the distribution of this particular album. It had a couple hits, but the distribution of this album was pretty low, simply because it's a radio play. Not very many people are in that niche of radio play music. That's pretty specific. So that's why a lot of Yoko Kanno fans probably either they don't know about it or they're aware of it and they don't really know anything about it. They don't really listen to it. Also, the other reason is because it's on moratorium, just like OST1 is. What does that mean? Well, it means that this album either is no longer put into pressings, meaning that the only way you can actually get this album is to buy it used. I got this off of eBay. Or the pressings of the album are so few and far, and the number of pressings is so limited that it might as well be a moratorium, that there might as well not even be selling it. And usually they're at outrageous cost. Fortunately, I didn't have to pay a pretty penny for this one like I had to do with OST1 at Otakon. But this is, if you're interested in this, you can find this online and sample it and see if it's something you like. And if you like it, then go ahead and buy it. But this is definitely not something that I would go into blindly. I like it. I'm more impressed with Maya Sakamoto's singing ability after having listened to it. And of course, Yoko Kanno's composition and her piano playing is amazing on this, especially with the one song, Kuramono. But you can't go into this one blind. with Cowboy Bebop, you can go into them blind, and you can kind of know what to expect. This one you can't. So I would definitely go online, go to Spotify, go to YouTube, go to various other places, and sample it and see if it's up your alley, and then get it, because you're either going to pay $7.95 for a really beat up copy that might be skipping all over the place, a CD that might be skipping all over the place, or you're going to be paying out the nose. I've seen this go as high as $50. I did not pay $50 for this, but it was still a good copy. The other part of this is that it is primarily in Japanese. Yes, there is some English to this. It is almost exclusively Japanese, which tells you another thing about how the distribution wasn't that wide. So again, do I recommend this? Yes, I do. The caveat is that it is definitely niche, that it goes to a story, and you have to really like Maya Sakamoto, or you have to be liking her voice, or you could be like me and buy an entire CD based on one song that you really, really like. So yeah, sample it. If you like it, definitely buy it, but price it. You don't need to be paying $50 for this. All right. So that is it for this week, and really don't have much else to add. I'm hoping to put up the Facebook page for the Unagi Observer so I can put on other little things there. And other than that, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you guys watching. I know it seems like I'm inviting you into my home when I say when you guys come. We're hoping to get over 100 people, keep it over 100 people for a while, so that we can get you a digital taco, because who doesn't love digital tacos? I love tacos, especially digital tacos. Anyway, again, thank you very much. Have a great week. This is the Unagi Observer. My name is Steve Gerhardt, and see you next time.